start by praising Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, glorifying Him Jalla fi'ula, and sending peace and salutations to Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, whomsoever Allah guides, no one can misguide, whomsoever Allah leads astray, no one can guide. The halaqa we have for today is the kind of difference between Fard al-Kifayah, I mean definition of it, what is it, Fard al-Kifayah, and Fard al-Ayn. This is things that we hear all the time, and it's a knowledge that everybody possesses, which is why it's going to be very short and direct to the point. Perhaps I will add some small details that the ulama speak about that perhaps we haven't heard of it before, just because most of us will engage in this in our day-to-day. I mean, this group, walillahi alhamd, it does a lot of Fard al-Kifayah. Perhaps you don't even know some of the Fard al-Kifayah that you guys do, but you guys do it in this gathering of ours. Right? So it's important for everyone to know the differences between Fard al-Ayn and Fard al-Kifayah. Some of the topics, some of the things I'm going to look at with regards to this is, number one, definitions. What is Fard al-Kifayah? What is Fard al-Ayn? This is the first thing we will look at. Number two, we will look at the differences, certain differences between Fard al-Kifayah and Fard al-Ayn. Number three, we will look at can you force someone to do Fard al-Ayn? Can you force someone to do Fard al-Kifayah? Right? For example, you live in a Muslim country and people fall short in Fard al-Ayn. Is the ruler a must for him to force people to do the Fard al-Ayn? For example, Salah. If you don't pray, can the person in charge, the governor, someone, can they take you in and say you have to pray? In Fard al-Kifayah, same example of janazah. Can someone in charge force people to come with this? And then also we will look at what is better between the two, Fard al-Kifayah or Fard al-Ayn. We will look at that in that time. Now, inshallah, I'm going to be asking questions as we go on, inshallah, just to make sure everybody is with us. Start with the Fard al-Ayn. Fard al-Ayn. This is individual obligation, right? Individual obligation. Al-Mukallif is someone who has reached the age of accountability. This is an important note to have. Mukallif is a person who has reached an age of accountability. Once you reach this age of accountability, then this fara'id, things which Allah has made obligated on you, now becomes obligated for you as an individual. Once you reach this age of accountability. And it's different for girls and boys. For the girls, age of accountability is when they have their first period, menstrual cycle. For the boys, is when they have their first wet dream, right? The first, when you become muhtali, when you have your first wet dream, then it has started for you. So it differs from people and from maturity levels as well. So somebody, a boy, might be mature at the age of 12, 10, but mostly it ranges from the age of 13 to 15. And for the girls, age of maturity where they reach a point where they become mukallif, meaning they become accountable to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That their salah is not looked at, is when they reach this age, perhaps 9 years old and something like that. Now, so Fard al-Ayn is an individual obligation for the mukallif, the one who is accountable. It's an individual obligation that he has to fulfill. Fard al-Kifayah, it is a communal obligation, that which all of us we know. It is a communal obligation, where if a certain group of Muslims come with it, then the blame is uplifted from the rest. Not the rest get the reward, no. The ones who do it get the reward, but blame is uplifted from everyone, right? So this is something that some people, they might Conflate. They might conflate. No, the reward is only for the people who come with the fard kifaya, but blame is uplifted from everyone, as opposed to when everybody leaves it off, then blame is incurred on everyone. Now, the benefit of fard kifaya, its benefit is related to the action itself being done. Yani Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is looking at the action to be completed, the thing itself to be completed. As opposed to fard ayn, where it's an individual obligation, where each one just, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala looks at each one's, if you do it, if you don't do it, the sin is on you, right? Fard kifaya is different. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is not looking at you as an individual to complete it. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is looking at the action. Fard ayn, Allah is looking at the individual, right? You do it. Fard kifaya, Allah is looking at the action itself to be done. That's kind of a difference between fard kifaya and fard ayn, right? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is looking at the action itself to be done with regards to fard kifaya. Now, and kifaya comes from yakfi. When the Arabs they say yakfi, which means that's enough. Right? So if enough Muslims do it, then it's uplifted from the rest of the people. Now, which one is better? Fard kifaya or fard ayn? Which one is more? Which one is better in the sight of Allah? Fard kifaya or fard ayn? This is a question for the Muslim, for you guys. The brother, he said fard kifaya. Okay, fard kifaya is better. What do you think?
Let's go fard ayn.
Fard ayn. Give 6 reasons for your answer. Any reason why you choose fard ayn?
Just because he chose fard kifaya.
Okay. Who else has a different opinion and he can give a reason for his answer?
I'd say also fard kifaya. Because if you do it, you're not only taking the responsibility out of yourself, but
you're taking from Allah. Right. MashaAllah. Jazakallah.
It depends. Are you saying fard ayn versus fard kifaya, or fard ayn versus fard ayn plus fard kifaya? Because I'm thinking fard ayn. I'm thinking fard ayn because if you do your fard kifaya but not your fard ayn, you're going to Jahannam, habibi. That's what I mean.
No, of course you.
It's the basis that you're gonna do both.
I'm talking about a person who does his
Fard ayn.
He does his fard ayn fully, and the person who does fard kifaya, this person,
He also does his fard ayn?
He does fard ayn and both fard kifaya.
Okay.
Which one is more rewarding in the sight of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala?
Fard kifaya.
Kifaya or ayn? This is something that the scholars have disputed on. Like Jamhur, majority of the scholars, they say that the one which is most beloved to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the one which is more rewarding to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, is fard ayn. Right? Is that individual obligation. It is what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala looks at more. This is Jamhur, majority of the scholars. They say that. And I wrote the reason why. Let me find it.
I mean, there's hadith of Rasulullah. There's nothing that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala loves more than the fara'id.
But then the fara'id is two, fard kifaya and fard ayn.
But if you follow up, right, then it's after that is the sunnah, then nawafil. So the hadith in context is referring to fard ayn because it says fara'id, salah, right, i.e. salah. It says fara'id, then the sunnah, then the nawafil. So that kind of relates to.
Now we can take that as evidence as well.
Potentially.
We can take that as evidence as well. And the scholars they mention because it applies on an individual, making it more challenging for him. Right? It's more challenging for him, and the reward for it is far greater. The benefit you reap from fard ayn is far greater than the reward you reap from fard kifaya. In the sense that, example of fard ayn, salah, right? Benefit that a person gets from salah Number one, leave alone the reward of Jannah that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has promised you. This is the benefit you get in this dunya. Number one, you get contentment from your salah. You learn submission, right? You submit to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You learn humility. You learn a lot of these aspects in your salah, right? Salah is something that's supposed to give you that. Whenever you are standing in front of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, you lower yourself, right? You lower yourself, you show humility, you show all this in front of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, right? So the benefits you reap from it, dunyawi, is huge. And the akhirah as well, the benefit is immense as well. So the scholars, they say, and the scholars who say that fard kifayah is better, they gave the same reason that our brother he gave, right? The reason is what? Because you are uplifting blame for the rest of the ummah, right? Yani the ummah is relying on you. Because there are some actions of fard kifayah where there is huge potential of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's curse or even Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's wrath, right, on people who leave it. For example, funeral, rites of the funeral. There's huge tahrim when it comes to it. For example of al-amr bil-ma'ruf wa nahy al-munkar, right? Al-amr bil-ma'ruf wa nahy al-munkar. This is enjoining good and forbidding evil, right? This is something which is a communal obligation, right? People have to come with. The Prophet said, وَالَّذِي نَفْسِي بِيَدِهِ, I swear by the one who my soul is in his hand. I swear by the one who my soul is in his hand. لَتَأْمُرُنَّ بِالْمَعْرُوفِ وَلَتَنْهَوُنَّ عَنِ الْمُنكَرِ أَوْ لَيُوشِكَنَّ اللَّهَ أَنْ يَبْعَثَ عَلَيْكُمْ عَذَابًا مِنْهُ ثُمَّ تَدْعُونَ فَلَا يُسْتَجَابُ لَكُمْ أو كما قال صلى الله عليه وسلم. He said, you will enjoin good and you will forbid evil. Or Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He will send upon you punishments upon punishments to the point where you will start making dua to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to relieve it from you. فَلَا يُسْتَجَابُ لَكُمْ, and Allah will not respond to you. Right? This is a huge punishment for someone who neglects a fard kifayah. Right? So the scholars, they mention that fard kifayah is the minority of the scholars. Right? They suggest that fard kifayah is more has more obligation than that. Another point I want to mention is the idea of punishments when it comes to not punishment, forcing people to come with acts of worship. Now, as we mentioned, we know fard kifayah, fard ayn. Examples of fard kifayah include salah, zakah. Fard ayn, sorry. Fard ayn includes salah, zakah, hajj. All this is individual obligations that a must for everybody to come with. Put that aside. Examples of the fard kifayah we mentioned: janazah, amr bil ma'ruf, nahy al munkar. Saving a person from drowning. This is fard kifayah, right? If you see someone in the swimming pool, he's about to drown, and all of us we look at him like this. It's a big problem, right? All of us would incur the sin, right? But if one person goes and he saves him, then he gets the reward of saving him, and the blame is uplifted from me for just staying outside, right? Well, this is also a fard kifayah, right? Now, can a ruler or someone in charge of us, can someone force you to do fard kifayah, and can someone force you to do fard ayn? Question for the group.
To a degree.
Okay, let's start with fard kifayah. Rites of funeral. Can someone force you to come with it?
If nobody's doing it.
If nobody's doing it, he can force. Okay, how about fard ayn, individual obligation?
I would say yes, you can force it because parents, if your child is not at that age, you're allowed to
force them to teach you. Very good. That's a very good way to look at it. Fard ayn, individual obligation. If somebody leaves it, it's a must for his parents, or even the one in charge, a ruler or something, they can force him. So if a person doesn't pray, and I've seen this with my own eyes, someone, he neglected prayer back home, they took him to the qadi. He stayed 3 days in jail. They kept him in jail for 3 days. And after that, those 3 days, they sent someone, a sheikh, someone, he would come sit with him, talk to him, encourage him to pray, come pray, and things like that. He refused. 4th day, they brought the whip. They started to lash him. The 5th day, this man, a week later, this man was Saf al-Awwal in the masjid. And he continued to stay Saf al-Awwal always, right? So individual obligation, for example.
If you allow me, can I add something to that?
Go ahead.
So we studied this in fiqh, and it's true this is allowed, but we have to understand the context behind it, the hikmah and the reason behind it. This situation applies to someone who doesn't pray and publicly is showing that he doesn't pray. Yani, in the sight of the public, he's showing that I am going against the commands of Allah. It doesn't mean that I'm looking at your house from the window, is Grayler praying? If he doesn't pray, I'm gonna go tell him, I'm gonna go whip him. No. That's not how it works. So the hikmah behind it, because we say it all the time, La ikraha fi din. There's no compulsion in religion. So don't see this as compulsion. Rather, it's in a Muslim society. Think about it. You have now one person comes out and he says, I don't pray. I don't want to pray. If you don't, what is it? Put that in the nip or nip it in the bud, right? If you don't do that, then guess what? Now you have 100,000 Muslims coming out saying, I don't pray. Forget prayer. So this is what the situation is. It's not just the fact that he's in his house. If he's quiet about it, who knows? Only Allah knows whether he prays or not. It's because he has publicly now come out and say, I don't pray, forget prayer, I don't need to pray, and it will incite more to it. So when it becomes public, then at that moment you have to stop it. So as a ruler, you have to force him. You give him da'wah, you try to get him. And yes, if he doesn't, you actually jail him. It's in all the books of the fuqaha. You put him in jail. You keep giving him da'wah. At least, brother, you don't even have to mean it. Just pray, because publicly you're now causing chaos. Sorry for the tangent, but I thought it was very important. Exactly.
The hadith, the Prophet ﷺ, he says, من الحسن الإسلام المرء تركه ما لا يعني. From the perfection of the religion is for a person to leave off that which does not concern him. Whatever a person does in his own private time, in his house, doesn't concern us, then we leave that. Right? This is a principle in our religion, right? But as our brother Muhammad Ali, he mentioned, if somebody he's doing it and he's showing the world that he's doing it, then it becomes a problem, right? Because now he's making that which is haram become obvious to the people. And once things start becoming obvious to the people, a lot of people, they fall into it. Jazakallah khair. So this is fard kifayah, right? This is al-Ayn, right? Individual obligation. But fard kifayah, you cannot force the people to come with, right? It's not something that you can force any individual to come with fard kifayah, right? Even if no one is doing it, then you do it yourself, right? You can encourage the people, you can ask them to come and help, and then you can do that. But you cannot force anybody to come with fard kifayah, right? You cannot do that, right? So these are some of the differences that we have between fard kifayah and fard ayn. Like I mentioned, we already know the definition. We've known it since we came to this movement, before even that. But the idea for the halaqa is we are in this business, if I can call it that. We do a lot of fard kifayah, right? We do a lot of it. So it is important for us to know some minor details pertaining to it, right? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala may reward us. Allahumma ameen. Allahumma ameen. Allahumma ameen. Allah reward us for all that, Allah reward all of you for all that which you do in regards to the fard kifayah. Wallahi, this idea of, and I know Hamza already spoke a lot about this funeral, but wallahi, just the fact that we are doing it, the people, they will never thank you for what you are doing to uplift the amount of blame you are uplifting for it, because this is not something tangible, it's not something that they can see, right? But in the sight of Allah, This is huge. Wallahi, this is huge, right? We are single-handedly, and I don't mean to toot my own horn or your own horn.
Both.
I want to toot our own horns. Right? But wallahi, what we uplift from the ummah is huge. Right? We have something to uplift from them. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala reward all of you, put it in your mizan hasanat, innahu waliyyu dhalika wal qadiru alayh. If there's any questions regarding it, inshallah, feel free to ask.
Is there like a minimum for the kifayah?
Is there what?
Is there like a minimum for the kifayah? Because earlier you said like, oh, if no one else is doing it, like even you
Or
do
the
it yourself.
minimum amount of people to do it?
Yeah.
No, just one person can do it.
Okay.
Just one person. There's no minimum. Minimum is one person to do it.
I guess because you said Allah isn't looking at the people, it's the action.
Yeah.
So the minimum is the action gets done.
No.
Whatever it takes for the action. If it takes 10 people to do that action, for example, like he's not looking at individuals, but the action itself, the task must be completed. Whatever it takes. However many people it takes. If it means the king himself comes from the throne and does it, then he needs to do it.
Yeah, 100%. Had one?
What other responsibilities fall under from kifayah
Other than funeral that we mentioned is al-amr bil-ma'ruf wa nahy al-munkar. And al-amr bil-ma'ruf wa nahy al-munkar is not all of it. There's some aspects of amr bil-ma'ruf nahy al-munkar which is an individual obligation, right? It's an individual obligation. But again, it's different. And then also saving someone from drowning, as we mentioned, is one. Allah musta'an. If anybody can think of anything else.
صلاة الجمعة.
No, صلاة الجمعة is part of it. And عند الحنابلة عند مذهب الإمام أحمد, it is a complete, correct me if I'm wrong, if it is a complete replacement for dhuhr, right? It's a complete replacement for dhuhr. Nah.
That's why you
So
don't pray.
it is a fard, an individual to come. That's why?
That's why you don't pray the Dhuhr, like
No.
Jummah, right?
No. So this is
Would establishing the khutbah technically be fard kifayah? Like fard ayn to attend the Jum'ah, yeah, but I could be wrong.
No, I think it would be also Fard Ayn. He's saying establishing the khutbah itself. Like you have the khutbah, it's obligation Fard for everyone to come to the khutbah.
no.
But no, doing the khutbah itself would also be Fard.
Like saying the khutbah is for line too? Like
No,
doing
no, establishing the khutbah. Like there needs to be a Jum'ah khutbah.
yeah.
Oh, I get what you're
Yeah,
saying.
that's what I'm saying. Because obviously it's a fard
get what
ayn
he's
to
saying?
attend,
Establishing.
making
Jum'ah
sure the
khutbah.
khutbah is delivered.
Making sure the khutbah is delivered.
Yeah, but there is a Jum'ah khutbah.
Maybe I'm getting too technical. I should avoid
Yeah,
it.
this is probably.
I don't know. I don't know.
Because I think you're thinking in terms of Fard Ayn, Fard Kifayah,
Yeah.
but you think of it
Because
as
the
an
whole thing is
obligation.
like that.
One khatib will agree to the rest of the people. Allah a'lam. This could be the case.
Let's put a bookmark on that.
Yeah, we can look into it. Inshallah.
Who asked that question?
Ammar.
It's very good. Let me look into it, inshallah.
The thing is, it's hard to kind of think about the
Yeah.
Fard Kifayah.
Yeah. I don't know. No, Allah jazakumullah khairan. Oh, by the way,
It's getting
we
married.
finished the halaqa.
Yeah.
I just want to make a small announcement.
The recording is going, so make it.
No, keep the
No,
recording going,
he'll cut it,
'cause
he'll cut it.
I'm gonna also say something after. Let's just keep.
He'll cut it out.
That's best.
Inshallah, I'm doing a halaqa every Sunday here at 6 Mile after Isha. I'm going through a book called Ad-Da' wa Dawa. Ad-Da' wa Dawa. It is wallahi one of I've read
Can you
it a
translate
lot.
it?
Yeah?
Can you translate it?
I'm reading it in Arabic.
No. Translate the title to them.
The title.
To non-Arab speakers.
So the book is called The Sickness and Its Cure. Right? The Sheikh, he goes into, it's called, it has different names. The book. It's
Disease
called
and its cure.
الجواب الكافي لمن سأل عن الدواء الشافي. A complete answer to the one who asked about a cure that heals. Right? So the Sheikh, he goes into different diseases. He talks about diseases of the body, things that affect the body. He talks about diseases of the heart. He talks about diseases of the soul. When we talk Islam, when we talk about the heart, the qalb, we are talking about
Spiritual.
soul, we're talking about spiritual. The heart, we're talking about the brain, the mind. Right? There's a alaqa, there's a big connection between the heart and the mind. Right? And we look into that. So, and this is the three things that Muslims we have to look at, right? We have to build these three things. We have to look at our bodies. A lot of people, they work hard, take care of their body. They don't take care of their heart, they don't take care of their soul, right? All these three components a Muslim has to build, right? To build your heart, your mind, make sure what goes into it is something which is good and beneficial, right? Protect it from that which is brain rot, that kill your
You're using the young people slang now, huh?
Yeah. I deal with shabab, so my vocabulary, forgive my vocabulary. And then disease of the soul as well, right? Things that, the Sheikh, he goes into things like depression, anxiety, stuff like this. He talks about them in the book. What causes it? He talks about different sins and what causes it, right? He talks about the concept of dua. And I started teaching this book last week. And the one thing I mentioned was the fact that someone will come to you, for example, and this had happened to me multiple times. Someone will come to me, he will spend about 20 minutes plus complaining about something he's going through. I'm going through A, B, C, D, E, F, he will say it. And then I will listen. At the end of it, perhaps I say to him, Akhi, wallahi, make dua. Make it easy. How would you feel if someone does that to you? For me, I thought about it. I said it felt like if you text someone a huge message explaining how you feel, what's going on, and then he writes K. It's a big problem, right? But wallahi, people look at dua that way. But after reading this book, your idea of dua will change completely. You will venerate it to a way you've never venerated it before, right? And you will use it as a tool that is there for you, right? Ibn Qayyim rahimahullah, the author of this book, after he explains this as a perfect way, he explains on how to make dua, and then he finally says, فَإِنَّ هَذَا الدُّعَاء, if you make dua in this way, in this fashion, in this manner, فَإِنَّ هَذَا الدُّعَاء لَا يَكَادُ يُرَدُّ أَبَدًا. This dua, Allah will never fail to accept it from you. Allah will always accept this dua from you, right? In this, if you do it in this fashion, in this manner. Wallahi, it's a book which has a lot of gems in it. And I've seen it with my own eyes, right? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala takes time to respond to people, and sometimes the response is instant, right? I have an aunt, may Allah preserve her. For 20 years, she tried her and her husband to have a child. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala did not give them a child. 20 years. A woman always making dua to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for Allah to give her a child. 20 years later, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives her a baby. Right? Now, 3 years ago, she had a child. Same woman, same husband. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave them a child. Right? After a long time of being persistent in dua. And I've seen du'as being answered instantly. Remember one time I was driving with my friend, two of my friends from Chicago to Louisville. I was the one driving. May Allah forgive me, I did not make the dua for traveling. And I was coming back. They started raining like crazy. Wallahi, I've never seen rain that bad on the highway. You know, it's a highway, you're driving fast and the rain is horrible. My heart started beating, I was afraid, right? This friend of mine, the person who was with us, he made dua for travelers, and he made the dua for rain to be nafi', to be beneficial. وَرَبِّ الْكَعْبَةِ. Seconds hadn't passed. It was as though it didn't rain. It just stopped. Like the tap was on and then it just turned off. Completely turned off. It just stopped raining. Completely. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala responding instantaneously, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala taking time to respond, but the response will always come. Right? So dua, this is some of the things we're going to look at in the book. And it goes into the idea of sin, concept of sin, how sin affects you, affects the people around you. Some people, they think when you come with a sin, you just have done this sin and it's over. No, it affects you, has an effect on you, has an effect on your family, has an effect on the people around you. And he goes into that and he discusses that. He talks about sins which are oppressive sins. Oppressive sins. He talks about sins like homosexuality. And he doesn't just talk about it in general, he talks about the causes of it. What leads a man to be interested in another man? He goes deep into that. He breaks it down for you. So he talks about the concepts of love, lust, and obsession, right? It has a book full of gems. Inshallah, if you can make it, it's only going to be 20 to 30 minutes after Isha. So from 7:30, we end at 8 or 8:10. So it's, if you can make the time, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make it easy for every single one of us. سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك نشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت نستغفرك ونتوب إليك.
Will it be like live streams or something?
Yeah, I was gonna ask, make sure it's live streamed.
Yeah, somebody suggested that last week. I'm gonna see if the brothers can help me with that.
Even I think like the Muhsineen YouTube channel probably
What are the
might be able to like stream.
Tamam.
Maybe better through the masjid account, but see how it goes, inshallah.
All right, Assalamu alaikum. 2 announcements, and then we'll kind of formally close. The first announcement is the week of February 22nd, 23rd. Inshallah, we will be assisting community leaders with the Ramadan food boxes this year in 2 main ways. The first is we have the roster of potential recipients of the food assistance. By Tuesday, this Tuesday, they're going to give me kind of a criteria that we're going to use to see who's going to be receiving for this year. I need members from the Muhsineen. You can speak English, speak Arabic, speak Somali, to assist us in going through that list and verifying who's in need for this coming Ramadan. That's the first way we're going to help. The second way we're going to help is that week of the 22nd, 23rd, so the Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, as well as Saturday. We're going to help with bringing the food supply from places like Costco, Sam's Club, to Guiding Light. So they're going to do the packing here at this masjid, and help with the packing, and then Saturday help with the delivery. I'm going to be taking care of getting the delivery routes together, so expect it to be, really efficient, really streamlined. I need all hands on deck for that. Even if you have just an hour to spare, whether it's to help pack, whether it's to help deliver on Saturday. Alhamdulillah, they've put those 2 tasks on our shoulders. We have, alhamdulillah, enough men in our gathering to see this through. So even if it's just an hour to help with calling some families to kind of verify, this will be after Tuesday once I get the criteria back. If you're able to help call, once again, you speak English, Arabic, Somali. If you're able to help, ping me in the group chat, and I'll reach out to you starting probably like Wednesday. And once again, whenever you got spare time, if you're working remote, call during work if you want, after work or before work. Help us get through that list to verify who's going to be receiving on February 23rd. And then that second task, we'll all be working together for that. We'll give more details. Alhamdulillah, the person in charge this year is very organized. They've already got the ball rolling this early, so it's very promising that that week in February will go very smoothly, inshallah. Second announcement, I'm going to put a poll in the group chat. I know some brothers, it's very difficult to check the group chat. I need you to check it tonight. I'm going to put a poll asking which masjid from the list that I'll put in the poll that you live closest to. I need your responses. Reason being, and I kind of alluded this during the orientation, we're going to be moving away from, for the older members, you guys remember the work groups. There was one for like tafsir, the Arabic fluency, we're still going to meet. Some of the other work groups, we're going to move away from those and center it around, depending on the masjid that you live closest to, you're going to be in a group. So let's say, hypothetically, me, Muhammad, Abu Uthman, and Omar Khalifa. We live close to 6 Mile, this is hypothetical. We're going to agree that, hey, depending on our work schedules, our life schedules, I can make Isha and congregation in the masjid, let's start 1 day a week. Over time, build that up to 2 days a week. So let's say we all agree, hey, we're free on Isha. We're going to pray Isha in congregation on Mondays in the masjid. After a few months, let's bump it up to Monday, Tuesday each week. Let's bump it up Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. We're going to work on that to get us to pray in the masjid, in congregation, as frequently as possible. Then, after maybe 6 months, a year, we can then tack on a couple of supplemental goals. So, for example, we want to work on our Arabi. Hey, let's meet up Maghrib, be in the masjid until Isha. We're knocking both of those salah in congregation in the masjid, and then work on those supplemental goals. So when I put that poll up, I need everybody's response. Okay? You guys do that for me?
Inshallah.
Barakallahu feekum. Grayler and Muhammad, if you guys
Last
can.
thing.
Oh yeah, go ahead.
We wanted to, some of the brothers who came last time can speak to how much fun we had breaking the fast together, being that Ramadan is about 34 days away. Sha'ban is quickly approaching as well. There's a lot of things to hear about Rajab, a lot of it actually fabricated, non-existent, but when it comes to Sha'ban itself, this is a very good month to fast. In preparation for Ramadan, it being Sha'ban. So inshallah, we want to minimum at least do one more fast together, inshallah. So any brothers who are interested, you guys can help us. Maybe we should wait. I think next Friday should be Sha'ban. I think first day of Sha'ban, Friday or Saturday. So once we get into Sha'ban, we'll pick a day, inshallah. We'll put a poll up so those that are interested, be on the lookout. And generally, inshallah, at your houses, try to fast. Ramadan is right around the corner. There's many fada'il, and thawab that you get for voluntary fasting. So just wanted to throw that piece in there.
Barakallahu feekum. All right, we'll go ahead and close. Subhanakallahumma wa bihamdika, ashhadu la ilaha illa anta, astaghfiruka wa atubu alayk.